when it connects to YouTube.
Oh, it's all good. Hey guys, hope you're all doing good. Welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a very special guest. I'm really happy to have Troops back on again. Has been a little while since you've been on, so it's very good to have you back on again. Thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing? How's your day been?
No, I'm good, man. Thanks for the call up. You get me? I'm not avoiding call ups like Benny Blanco. You understand? When I get the call up, I answer the call up. You get me? But big up Benny Blanco every time. Big up Soph. You don't know the vibe. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. It's starting to move. You get me? She's getting big guests on. So big up Soph every time, man.
Oh, thank you so much, and big up yourself as well for coming on because I know you're quite busy, and it's I feel like this will be a good kind of therapy session with Arsenal because I know at the moment there's sort of a lot going on ahead to the North London derby, but I thought we could actually just start off by talking about the transfer window because whenever you talk about things, it always goes back to that, and I want to get your overall thoughts on the window because obviously a few players have left, and we've obviously brought a few players in, but I think the overall kind of feelings around the fan base is that we're not really happy with it. We're a bit underwhelmed, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on everything. Like, do you think we've done enough? Do you feel disappointed by it? Like, what's your thoughts?
I think again we missed a trick.
Mm.
We've done this for years. We can go back to the Wenger days. This is very. This reminds me of like the Petr Cech window when we just went out. We signed Czech. If we had signed a striker as well, that league title would have come to the Emirates for the first time. And I get the same feeling this season. I just think
Mm.
the forward line. I'm happy we got Sterling, but it's Sterling and someone else that we needed. We need that. We need that. Like when I see Haaland, it's just like every time he goes through, you expect him to score. You expect the net to bulge. With our players, I don't have that feeling. It's only some of them. So it's only when Saka really goes through that I think like, okay, cool. This is there's a high percentage chance that we're gonna score this goal. With the other players,
Yeah.
it's a bit hit and miss. It's only maybe Trossard as well. He's very clinical, but that's where I think we missed the trick. And I didn't want to sell Smith Rowe. I didn't want to
Mm.
sell Emil. I was saying keep Emil, like keep him as a squad player, give him a chance. And we see now with the Odegaard injury, the Marino injury, the Rice suspension, we are absolutely on our knees in the midfield right now, where we're looking and everyone's trying to make a midfield. People are saying Ethan, some people are saying drop Havertz into it, some people are saying Trossard, some people are saying Saka. It's and we shouldn't be at that stage because we should have cover there for when
Yeah.
injuries happen, when suspensions happen. We should have cover there. And I was all for getting rid of the likes of Fabio Vieira, Lokonga, El Neni, Nketiah, all those players. I was all for it. I was with it. But if you're gonna get rid of all of that,
Mm.
then you have to bring in replacements. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like our squad is very thin. It's very, very thin. And when you look at the bench, that's when I'm like, yo, last season, the bench was starting to look strong. There was options on the bench. You're like, you know what? All right, cool. If Martinelli ain't doing his thing, we can throw
Yeah.
on Trossard. If Havertz ain't doing his thing, you can throw on a Jesus. You got Smith Rowe there. You had players there. So this season now, when you look at it, it's you got like Ethan's there. Ethan ain't like Ethan's a kid. He hasn't, you understand, he had a good preseason, but he hasn't really played first team football. It's the cover's not there. Like the 11 is good. I think our defense is probably the best part of our team. I think we are solid in at the back. And it used to be role reversal. It would be we was good in the attack and the midfield, and then the defense and the keeper was sus. But now it's switched. Now
Yeah.
it's the other way where we're lacking in areas in the midfield and the forward area. But I just think, yeah, man. I think after all the talk about Edu saying he's cooking and all of this, he didn't really cook up nothing.
Yeah, I know. I was expecting us to bring someone in that we would be like wowed by, but it's not happened. I mean, I do agree. Like when we signed Sterling, I thought that's not a bad sign. Like you said, if we brought someone else in, like if we brought a striker in with Sterling, then I would have no problem. But it's the fact that we've got to expect Sterling to sort of step up, and I'm not sure he can really sort of elevate the team in the way we need right now. We need that difference maker, and we don't have that, and it's so tough because, like you said, I mean, going to Spurs at the weekend defensively, I have no worries. It's just sort of like, are we able to take our chances? Are we able to kind of create them in that midfield? I mean, the midfield's a bit of a difficult one at the moment. Odegaard is going to be hard to replace, like you said. I mean, for me, I wouldn't want to put Havertz there because we know it doesn't work. But then it'd be good to have him up top if you can take them chances. But what sort of midfield would you play for Spurs? And I know obviously Rice is going to be back soon, which does help us in a sense, but it's going to be tough to play players that you wouldn't really usually play.
You're gonna have to go with. It's got to be Partey and Jorginho, but on the transition, that is not good.
I know, yeah.
That is like whoa. That's like me and Claude, God rest his soul, in the Arsenal midfield right now. This is on the break, yo. We ain't got the legs, bro. You know what I mean? We can't play on the half turn how we used to play on the half turn. So it's them two, but it's who do you put in on the right side of the midfield in the Odegaard position, because that's a big miss. I mean, I've seen clips of like when we played Saka in that position and he's done well. We've tried Trossard there, it didn't really work. Havertz, it didn't work. So it might even be a thing. It might even be a thing where we switch the formation and we go to a 4-2-3-1. We move from a 4-3-3 to a 4-2-3-1, where you go Partey, Jorginho as the pivot. Then you've got Saka on the right. You've got the left. This is where
it's a tough one, yeah.
Because you see the thing with me, Sophia, I'm a big Martinelli fan. You know me.
Yeah.
Big Martinelli supporter. That's my guy. And for me, Trossard is playing better than Martinelli right now. But Trossard's better off the bench.
Yeah, he's more of an impact player. Yeah,
Martinelli's better from the start. But the way Martinelli's playing right now, you're looking at it and you're like, do you even start Martinelli? But Havertz has got to be up top. That has to be done. Then it's probably I'd look at Sterling. I'm not gonna lie. Like the way I've seen the clips I've seen in training, he looks fit, he looks fresh, he looks sharp. And because I've got Lewis on back again, I have to keep an eye on Chelsea because this scumbag's on the pod. So throughout preseason, I'm watching their games to see how they're playing, see how they're doing. And Sterling, for me, when they were bringing him off the bench, he was making an impact. He weren't starting, but he was making an impact. He looked sharp. And I think maybe you go Saka on the right, Sterling on the left, Trossard or Jesus behind Havertz.
Yeah.
Because I can't think... you can't put Havertz in the midfield.
No, it doesn't work.
I don't want to move Saka from the wing. I don't want to move Saka from the right. I don't want to move Saka into that role. And for me, Ethan, it's people are like running it back to like Fabregas saying Cesc 2.0, but Cesc was a different kettle of fish. Like, I'm old enough to remember when Cesc went into that team, like at Highbury. I'm old enough to remember, and he was a different kettle of fish. And he was groomed, not in the mad way, but he was groomed by the likes of Patrick Vieira, the likes of Gilberto Silva, even Edu. You know what I mean? Proper centre midfielders. Whereas Ethan, he's only had like Rice and Odegaard for a couple of years, and these men are still like learning their game. They're not in their prime. So Fabregas was a bit ahead, and he had played in the first team, so you could assess. I don't think Ethan you can trust from the start. I think bringing Ethan off the bench, I think that's a good option. But I think starting him, I think from the start, I don't think he's ready for that. So
yeah, it doesn't feel right to start him. I mean, I know Smith Rowe is a good example at the time. We weren't doing well when he came in, and obviously he really helped us. But I think at that point he'd gone out on loan. He has experience, and Ethan doesn't have that. It's hard because a lot of people think we should throw him in there, but I think I feel like it would be a bit unfair on him, if I'm being honest, because if it went wrong, you're sort of putting pressure on him that he's probably not ready for. But like you said, if the game wasn't going well against Spurs or in the next coming games, I think give him a chance, put him on the off the bench. But I wouldn't want to start him, to be honest, because I just don't think it's really going to be fair. But someone says, how do you feel about no Rice? I mean, obviously, we've all accepted it now, and I think Partey, Jorginho is going to be in the midfield. But how do you sort of feel like the game will be different without Rice? Because I know recently he admitted himself he hasn't been himself. He's not really been how he was last season. But we all know Rice brings a lot of stuff to this team, and he is going to be missed at the game. So how do you kind of feel like we'll be without him? Because I'm not the most comfortable with Partey and Jorginho in that midfield.
We lose a bit of, what's the word? We lose we lose legs.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, we lose someone that can get up and down the pitch. We lose someone that can break up the play and just keep it moving. We lose quite a lot because he's made that difference in the midfield. Since he's gone in there, the midfield looks solid. He knows what to do. He plays that role better than most. You know what I mean? And we're gonna, it's difficult because when you got like Basuma, Bentancur, Madison, people that can move the ball quick, you need Rice there. You need Rice. You need his legs because Partey's legs are gone. Jorginho's never had legs, so that's where Rice comes into it. And without him in that midfield, it's made it a
Yeah.
lot more difficult on the transition because with the ball, it won't really make a difference because Jorginho's better on the ball, so we can keep possession of the ball probably better with Jorginho and Partey in the midfield. But on the transition now, that's where it gets techie on the defensive side because his defensive now is so good as well. He's always in the right place at the right time. He just sits in front of the back four when it gets techie, and with them lot trying to like Madison trying to pop up in the pockets, he does well to kind of like put that fire out. Whereas Jorginho now, he'll get overrun. We've seen it. We've seen it a lot with him, and that's where we miss Rice on the transition. It's there where we miss him.
Yeah. It's going to be a different game without him. I know that he hasn't been at his best, but I feel like this game would be good for him to come into, especially after doing well for England. And it'll be different without him. I think Jorginho, I do like him, but he's probably not got the pace that Rice has. He's not as good as him, but I think that's going to be hard against Spurs. They've got some very good players, but I do think we really should be winning this game. I mean, I always say form does go out the window when you've got these games coming up because there's been times where we've been bad and we've beaten them. So I think it's so hard to predict. I just wanted to say big up Clement, big up Troops and Sophie every time. We have to find a way to win this North London derby on Sunday. Basuma has an injury, might be out for that game. Big up yourself as well. For you in the game at the weekend, where do you think it'll be won for us? Because I've Arsenal at the moment, we've not done too bad. No, we drew with Brighton, which wasn't good, but I just feel as though that we're not really being as clinical as we should be. And I've wanted a striker. We've not brought that in. It's happened now. But what do you think we need to do in the game to win it? I mean, I know our midfield won't be our strongest, but I still think our team is good enough to win.
I think the midfield is where it'll be won and lost.
Yeah.
I think the starting 11 determines a lot. I think the way Arteta sets up will determine how this game goes. And it also dependent on Basuma because he's been on fire for Tottenham. I think he's got 3 goals since he put down the balloons. And,
Literally, yeah.
I mean, he put down the helium and he stepped it up, man. You understand? So the midfield battle will definitely be a key area. And also, we have to take our chances when they drop.
Yeah.
We have to take, like, we did enough to beat Brighton, even when we went down to 10 men. Like, Saka's got to take his chance. Havertz has got to take that chance when he goes through one-on-one. We have to take our chances when they drop because Tottenham in a North London derby, I don't like fear. I don't really fear Tottenham. You get me?
Mm.
I don't
Yeah,
respect them or nothing like that. But North London derby form goes out the window. You know
yeah,
what I
it
mean?
does.
Like you can just have a worldie of a game. You can have a shocker of a game, and Tottenham will create. They're at home. We've beaten them the last two times at their stadium. So they want this victory. They need this victory. I don't think we've won at White Hart Lane 3 times in a row. I don't think we've done that. I don't think I'm not. You'd have to go way back because in my time, I can't remember us going to White Hart Lane three years running and winning. I can't remember that. So there's
Mm.
records on the line. They're going to be up for it. It's an early kickoff, which kind of benefits us because they can't get as pissed up as they would like. If it was
Yeah,
4 p.m. kickoff, then you know what I mean. It ups the atmosphere. It ups the hostility. But we have to take our chances. Defensively, I'm not worried.
yeah, we're good defensively. I mean, David Raya's been amazing as well.
Yeah, he's
So
really improved. Like, especially like for me, like last season, I think the Golden Glove that he won was down to the defense. I don't think it was down to him. When Ramsdale won it, I think it was down to Ramsdale.
mm,
Ramsdale kept us in games in that first title charge when Zinchenko cost us at Anfield. Not even the first time, but that was the first time he done it. He done it again last year, the idiot. But Ramsdale has like he single handedly the the who do we play first game? Wolves game. He made a save at 1-0. I was like from the Korean guy, as Pep calls him, man like Juan. He made a fantastic save at 1-0. At Villa, he made a wicked save at 0-0. The Watkins save when he was on the floor when it licked off the bar. No, second half. Yeah, it was second half 0-0 just before we took the lead. When it hit off the bar. And then he jumped up, bow. And then even the Brighton game, he made a couple good saves. Like a lot of people were kind of getting on his back for the goal. And I was saying that I'm more on Gabriel and Saliba for
yeah, it
letting,
wasn't his fault really. I don't
yeah,
think Raya
because
could
the
do
power
much.
on the shot is, you know, he couldn't catch it, and that's where it was going to be palmed. You understand? I'm more look at Gabriel and Saliba for letting Welbeck get in between the pair of them. That wasn't good enough. You understand? And I'm comfortable with David Raya now.
Yeah,
I
he's
think
had a
he's
good
like
start.
certified number one now.
It's really weird to Fryer because it took me a long time to really like actually think is he better than Ramsdale? I mean, he's had a good start to the season. I think he just needs to keep it up. I think at the end of last season he had a lot of confidence. I think this is obviously coming to the season. He's still got that, which is good. But I think that goal. I mean, I thought it was crazy that people were sort of saying Raya could have done better. I don't think he actually could have done anything about it. I think defensively, like Gabriel could have done better. But it's those goals that I do think we will concede. To be honest, Spurs. It's just us. If we're able to take our chances, then we'll win this. It's just I'm not I'm not confident we're going to do that, and that's why Sterling starting wouldn't be a bad thing because I think it's something different to add to this team, and I think he would definitely help us. But do you think Arteta would start Sterling, or do you think he was just going to go with Martinelli? I mean, I don't think he would start Trossard because I think a lot of us know ourselves Trossard, deserved to start the other day, but he's not really able to have that impact that he has off the bench.
I was surprised that Trossard started
Yeah,
against Brighton. I mean, I know it's his former club, and I know he's deserving of the start, but Arteta normally sticks to his guns. He don't really normally change. I really did expect Martinelli to start that Brighton game. With Trossard starting that game, I kind of think that maybe Sterling could start this game. Maybe he
yeah,
could. And I think Sterling, he's got a point to prove. You know
mm,
what I mean? He's got a point to prove. It's kind of like the Havertz situation. And it's a free hit for us. We
yeah.
pay 95 grand a week, nothing else. If we don't, no obligation to buy if it goes wrong. But the way he looks in training, I'm like, this might be worth a risk, blood. This actually might be worth it. Like, he's experienced enough. It's not like you're taking. It's not that big a risk as well because he
Mm,
has the experience to go into a game like this. He's got previous, and the way he played under Arteta at City, obviously he was a lot younger.
yeah.
You haven't seen a Sterling like that. You know what I mean? That was prime Sterling. That was you're terrified of Sterling. You know what I mean? And I would start Sterling.
Yeah, I think I would as well. Actually, it's hard with Martinelli because he's obviously his end product at the moment isn't good enough, and he's struggling with that, and you can see that. But I know he's got the pace, and that's what is a really good quality about him. And it's hard because I think both Trossard and Martinelli probably aren't the right people to start right now. Um, I think Martinelli would probably be better off the bench, but I think Sterling, I would go for it personally. Like you said, we need to win this. We need to be clinical. Like last season, we literally did really well in the first half, second half defensively. We didn't do good, but if we're able to just take our chances, I think defensively, like you said, we're good enough to win it. It's so tough because if we lose this, we've got Man City coming up as well, and we'll go on a really bad run, and that's not like we could just lose the league in a few games. It's absolutely crazy to think that. But yeah, I think with Martinelli, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he did start, but I just don't think should really. Um, I would start Sterling on the left wing. Problem is the midfield. It'd be really interesting who actually plays in Odegaard's position. Who do you think Arteta would pick to replace Odegaard in this game? Do you think he'll go for Havertz?
I think he will.
Yeah,
I think he will because off off the ball, he can like be a big little. He can be an issue in the Arsenal in the Arsenal midfield against Tottenham. He can get under their feathers. He's a bit of a like a shit house. He's not gonna get bullied in the midfield. But when it comes to on the ball, let's move the ball, get it popping about. That's where it goes left.
yeah.
That's where it goes left extremely quick. And then
And
that's where we can lose the game because they hit us on the transition. They're gone. They got pace on the break as well. They got Brennan Johnson. They got Son. I don't know if Solanke's going to be back. So they got pace on the break as well. So we have to be careful.
I know another thing is a lot of people have suggested Trossard in that midfield. Would you consider that or not? Because the problem that I have with that is that if the game's not going well, who would you bring on to make that difference? The only two players that I could think of really is Trossard and Martinelli, and I think with Trossard, we would get a goal out of him. Would you start Trossard in that Odegaard position?
I'd keep Leo on the bench
Yeah,
because we need a couple game changers on the bench. We can't show our full hand. We can't put out all our gunman and then just have a weakened bench and just pray that the 11 deals with it because we're gonna have to bring someone off the bench. Someone's gonna have to chip in off the bench. So
yeah.
I wouldn't start Trossard.
No, I think I'd
He's
stick
probably our
with.
best player off the bench.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Obviously, well, when we make substitutes, Martinelli, if he's on the bench, will probably come on Trossard. But the Trossard's probably the one that you think is going to take our chances and help us win it. So I think you've got to really keep Trossard on the bench. I mean, Jesus is another one. He could be a substitute. I've not really seen him. I don't think he'll start the game. I think that'd be bold if Arteta was like, I'm going to play him. He could if he wanted to put Havertz in midfield, but I think I'd be quite disappointed if Havertz was in midfield because we all know it doesn't work and it's not going to help us. And Havertz actually been scoring recently, so I think it would um, be the right thing to do that. And I wanted to read out this question from Thomas in, big up yourself. Would you guys take a point? For me, I can't go into a North London derby thinking I'll take a draw. Like, I think for me, we've got to win this really. But what about you?
Nah, I can never just want to point. I have to win this game. There's certain
Yeah, me
games
too.
where I'm like, this game, the United, like when we play Tottenham, when we play United, it's nothing but a win for me, whether it's home
Yeah.
or away. It's them two. They're the two that I hate the most. They're the two. Yeah, we it's win or nothing. You get me?
Yeah.
There's no taking points. You know what I mean? I'd rather die trying.
Yeah, you can't really ever go into these games thinking, "I'll take a point." I mean, if we're losing and we manage to, get something out of it, it's better than nothing,
Yeah, if
but
it's 1-0, 85th
yeah.
minute, you know what I mean? I take a 1-1 in it, but
Yeah, you
I don't
can't
go into it looking for a point. You know what I mean?
yeah, you can't ever like, I just can't ever say I would love to draw Tottenham. You've
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
win
yeah.
these. But like I
Yeah.
said, the circumstances could change, but
Mhm.
I think, yeah, we definitely have to win this. We need to start Sterling and Saka both wings. Spurs will leave space, and we need a winger to run and lift his head up. Yeah, Martinelli. That's the thing we've noticed about Martinelli. His head's always down. Have you noticed that? Because for me, I'm going to be honest. I didn't notice until recently, till people have actually said,
Yeah, because I watch, like,
yeah,
you see it. He just runs like that. There's even one kid on Trey's team. He's the same. He just runs down the wing like that, and we're always shouting, "Get your head up! Get your head up!" And he won't get his head up. And there's just so much players
yeah,
in key areas where you can make things happen. But he's I don't like even before, like when he was on form, he runs with his head down. That's his style. He'll just grab it and drop his shoulder, but his head will be down. But now, yeah, now you need to get your head up, blood, because
yeah.
not taking on your man, the end product is not there. You're not getting into the right areas. There's times when you're not involved in the game for about 10, 15 minutes. And it's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happened. I don't know. It's got to be the system. It's got to
Mm,
be losing Xhaka, because since Xhaka left, he's not looked the same. And
yeah.
I'm hoping Marino is the one to bring back the Martinelli that we all know, but I don't know what's going on with him.
Do you know what? It's weird, isn't it? Because I actually thought last season he started off, good. He picked up a few injuries, I'm sure, and then he came back towards the end, and it's just something about him that it just felt like it wasn't working. And going to the season, I honestly thought he would be a lot better than what he's been. To be honest, his overall play isn't actually bad. It's just almost like he's overthinking situations and taking a little bit too long when he needs to be a bit quicker. But it's such a shame because, like you said, we love Marcelo, we want him to do well, but also like we need to win the league. And if he's not performing, I do think questions will be asked at the end of the season about his
I was
future.
gonna
And
say that. Do you think
yeah.
that this is? Do you think this is his last chance this year?
Do you know what? I think now, with Smith Rowe leaving, I feel like
Anyone can get it.
I felt okay with Smith Rowe leaving. I would have kept him if I was Arteta and gave him another season, but I feel like if Martinelli left, I would be gutted, but I wouldn't be heartbroken about it. But it's a shame, really, isn't it? Because when we signed him, we didn't know much about him, and he's obviously done really well. Um, would you sell him? Like, say the season's finished and he's not really had the best season. Would you consider maybe moving him on? It's a
Reluctantly.
tough one, yeah.
It would be reluctantly, because he's kind of like an Emil, where you helped us get from eighth to this position that we are in now. You know what I mean? But can you get us from second to first now? You get me? That is the question. Arteta didn't feel that Emil could do that job.
Yeah.
He's he's clearly looking at that left hand side, because bringing in Sterling, you know what I mean? Sterling, he done most of his dirt from the left under when he was at City. So he done most of his dirt in that season. I remember the goal he scored opening day. He cut across from the left hand side at the Emirates. We lost 2-0 Emery's first game. He cut across from the side, the left, and just bow, top bins it, put check in a spliff. So Arteta's definitely looking at that left hand side and looking at if he can improve it, because he don't trust Trossard, and Trossard was never his first choice. He wanted Mudryk. We have to remember that as well. Trossard wasn't his first pick. It's Mudryk that he wanted, and then we had to pivot. because Chelsea threw the bag at Mudryk, and then you know what I mean, we see what happened there. So I think he is looking at that left hand side. I think if he does fall on his face like he did last season, he's in trouble because selling Smith Rowe shows you like selling Nketiah, it don't really mean nothing, innit? Like
Yeah, it's
Nketiah, like he is a Haaland boy, but he was never good enough for Arsenal. With Emil, it's like Emil played a major part in getting us into the position that we're in now. Nketiah didn't play no part in that. So you have more of a bond with Emil. Emil done
yeah,
more for you. So seeing Emil get sold, that would have sent shockwaves through the dressing room.
yeah,
People are looking at that. People are looking at it now who are on the periphery of the squad, and they're saying, "Yo, fuck, man could be next, blood." If Emil's going, and you know that Emil's like one of the golden boys around here, I'm not that guy, blood. I can get me. He'll press that button, beam, I'm gone. So I think Martinelli, if he carries on how he's playing, unfortunately, he's in trouble.
Do you know what? I feel like, in the future, you have to be sort of prepared for anyone to go. Do you know what? It's hard because, like, Saka would be one player if he ever left. I think that'd be hard to take. I think with Smith Rowe at the time, when the Aubameyang was here, I wouldn't ever have imagined Smith Rowe leaving. It's a shame, but with Smith Rowe, he'll obviously know he's not had the game time he's wanted, but do you feel like it was more Arteta saying to him, there's not really a place for you to start regularly? Do you think it was more of that and Smith Rowe thought, if I'm not going to play, I'm going to go? Do you think Smith Rowe wanted to stay, but he sort of thought to himself, I'm not going to get the right game time either, so there's no point in me really being here?
I think Emil wanted game time, and
Yeah,
Arteta, he's got a midfield that he had last season, and Emil didn't fit into it for whatever reason, and he wouldn't really get opportunities. When he got opportunities, he would take them. I
yeah,
remember he started a game near the end of last season. He got man of the match. So he was coming off the bench as well, making an impact. But at the end of the day, he's a young man. He wants to play football. And if Fulham are offering him the chance to play week in, week out, stay in London, he's gone to a club that's progressive. They've made some good signings. They look like they're going to have a competitive season. I can't really blame him for taking the move because he is good enough to not sit on the bench.
yeah.
He deserves to be playing football week in, week out in the Premier League at a good level as well, not just like at some any level. So yeah, for me it was sad because Emil, he's one of your own, isn't it? And
Yeah,
like I
it's
said,
sad.
he played a major part in us getting to where we are, but you know what I mean? Unfortunately, he don't fit into the next part of the journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's left on a kind of positive note. I mean, he loves us, we love him. There's still that love there, and I think he'll always be an Arsenal fan. It's just now it's so hard as well for academy players as well to get into the team, and it's great to see he's had that chance, and Saka as well, who's had an amazing journey at Arsenal. It's just, yeah, it's a shame, but I think it's just nice to see him play football, be happy, and obviously Fulham I think is a great team for him. I think he's gonna have a great season, but it's a shame really. But I think as well, I think we know our midfield and we sort of know Smith Rowe probably couldn't play all the time. I think Arteta could have played him more, but he obviously chose not to do that. So it's a big shame. I just wanted to say big up to all of you in the chat that are watching this. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Troop's channel as well. While you're watching this. I've got a good question here actually. People ask me this all the time and I just don't know what to say because I know the season's just started and you just don't know if we're going to win the league. I'm not confident at this moment in time we will win the league, but I just wanted to get your thoughts. If we don't win anything this season, should Arteta be sacked? I want to ask you that. I mean, what sort of managers do you think of? I mean, it's weird sort of having this conversation, but I know if this season ends and we've not won anything again, fans are going to be unhappy.
if it's 5 years now.
Yeah.
We're going into the fifth year not winning a trophy. It's our longest trophy drought since 2014. So since we left Highbury and went to the Emirates, this is our longest trophy drought. Um, if he don't win a trophy this year, then I'm not gonna lie, I'm not with it. You need to bounce now, bro. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's 5 years. You spent a lot of money. You know what I mean? It's not like you haven't had the support. We've and it's because the way you disrespect the cups, it's your own fault. It's not like you haven't had opportunities to win trophies. You disrespect the FA Cup year in, year out. I get the Carabao Cup disrespect because Wenger never rated it. Wenger would
Yeah.
always play the youth, you know what I mean? And when we got to a semi-final, he'll throw in a few first team players, but majority will be the youth players. So I understand that. But the way you disrespect the FA Cup, the one trophy that you've won in your managerial career, the way that you disrespect that cup year after year, you have to go. You know what I mean? You can't finish second. We used to get mad about Wenger finishing fourth, third. Da, da,
Yeah.
da, 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 da. There's no difference between fourth and second. It's a Champions League spot. There's no trophy. There's no difference.
Yeah. Do you know?
So
Yeah, I agree.
you know what I mean? That's how I look at it now. Second and fourth, there's no difference. It's a Champions League spot. It's first that you want. And with Liverpool, when they were competing with Pep, Klopp v Pep, yeah, they might not have won the league titles, but they would pick up trophies. They would get an FA Cup. They would get a Champions League. They would get a cup double where they get the Carabao and the FA Cup. They would bring trophies back to Anfield, where we're not doing that. We're just disregarding trophies and saying, yeah, we're going gun ho for the Premier League and the Champions League, but forget everything else. And that's not what it's about, because
Mm.
you've got rumors that Madrid sent scouts to watch Saliba at the Aston Villa game. If we keep year after year not winning trophies, these players are gonna look and say, "Yo, fuck this! I'm big boy Saliba. How am I not winning trophies, bro? Every time I go to my front
Yeah.
squad, Chouameni's pulling out 3 fucking Premier Champions Leagues, and Mbappe's pulling out this, Camavinga's pulling out this, all that, all these French when he goes there." Saka goes to England. Foden's pulling out this. This one's pulling out this. Saka's just there, like, yeah, yeah. These players are going to look elsewhere. It's happened before with Fabregas, with Nasri, with Adebayor, with Van Persie. With you can go back as far as Cashley Cole. It's
Mm.
happened where we're not winning that, and we're second. They're going to go elsewhere because they're good enough to play
Yeah.
for the elite clubs around the world. So if Arteta don't win nothing this year, he's got to go. It's simple as. But who I would bring in, I would look at. I like the Girona manager, but it's difficult because they're linked with Man City, so he's probably going to replace
Yeah.
Pep. I've always liked Flick, but he's gone to Barca. So I look around and I'm like, it's maybe a Nagelsmann.
It's hard really thinking
Because
of
Nagelsmann's
managers
at Germany.
around.
You
Yeah.
can put he's that's an international job. It's you can pull him away from that and say, yo, Arsenal job, boom. What are you saying? You want to come back into club management? But if you don't win nothing, for me, he's got to go soft. I can't lie.
Do you know what? It's like for me, like I've never seen us win a league, and I'm like, my patience is running a bit thin right now. I mean, it's more the fact we've not really won a trophy for like since 2020. Like, do you know what? That FA Cup was amazing. We had a bad season, but we won something. And it's like, look at United last season. We were so much better than them in the league. When we played them, we were better. But you look at the teams that have had that success, Man City, United, you have to put them there. And, we should be the ones that have the success instead of the other, like United. But I think this season, if we came second, but we won an FA Cup, I think the League Cup, it's not. I would be a bit underwhelmed if we just won that. The FA Cup for me isn't as big as the league or a Champions League, but it's still, I think it's still a special trophy to win. Like if we didn't win like the league and we won the FA Cup, how would you feel about that?
Yeah, the league. I'm kind of. I've kind of let the league go already. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But after the transfer window, that kind of just, and then in the Brighton draw, and then the injuries we've got now going into this next run of games. Odegaard being out for 3 weeks, so he's missing the Man City game as well. So it's like, you know what I mean? I'm not really. I'm kind of disregarding the league, on like reluctantly. But if we didn't win a trophy, like it's
We've
nah.
got to win a trophy this
Things
season.
have to heads have to roll, and I'm talking from top to bottom, like even like the Cronkies and that, because like it's just like I don't know how like this guy has just like kind of made the fan base kind of 360 in the way that we used to
I know, it's
like
crazy.
resent him. Like I'll never be Cronky in like that man. I still want him out. Like I don't trust him. He's a liar. Be excited. What's exciting? Signing Raheem Sterling in 2024 on the last day of the transfer window. That's exciting, yeah.
It's actions that we need to see really,
Yep.
like, we need the thing is, like, I'm with you, like, do you know what? I supported Arsenal not as long as other people, but I think with everything that happened with the Super League, it made me realise that, do you know what? If Arsenal ever, not that this would ever happen, but if we ever got, like, relegated, we would be there for the club, we would be going to games, we would feel the pain and be there, but the owners wouldn't really care. It's all about money,
They'll
but for
sell
us,
us.
yeah, exactly. And for us fans, it's more than that. And I think it's so difficult because for me, like last season, I thought was our best season we've had in a while. Thought we played a lot better and we got closer. And you look at the summer and you think we're just a few players off winning it if we brought the right players in. And listen, Calafiori is a good signing, but I don't think he's sort of a priority. Like a striker for me is the most important one, and we've not done that. And I don't get it. It's really confusing to see that they're not seeing what we're seeing. I mean, we're no football experts, but we're fans and we can see it. And they're experts and they're not really seeing it. It's really, really frustrating. And this is actually a good comment because I know a few weeks ago Arteta signing a contract was sort of going around, and it's actually a good comment actually here. I personally feel like Arteta will leave the club by choice if he doesn't win anything this season. He hasn't resigned the contract, and I think he is self-aware enough to do it before getting sacked. What do you think about that? Do you think that would happen?
I mean, Arteta, he's already said that he was thinking about leaving a few years ago. When we were, I think what was it? I think it was the year. I think it was the first year when we bottled the league when we signed
Yeah,
him.
that one. Yeah.
That summer he was thinking about like, yo, is this as far as I can take this team? Can I get them over the line? So it's already crossed his mind that
Mm.
have I got enough to get this team where I want it to be? So even himself, he could look at it at the end of the season and be like, if we weren't to win nothing, he could look at himself and be like, you know what? I'm done here. Like I've tried. I've told you lot what I've told me, because there's no way, yeah, that he ain't knocking Edu's door and saying I need a striker. There's no way. There's no way having Jesus with his injury prone self, getting rid of Nketiah, having only Havertz there as an out, like as a striking choice down the middle. There's no way he's happy with that. There's no chance in hell he's happy with getting rid of Lokonga, El Neni, Smith Rowe, Fabio Vieira, and bringing in Marino. There's
It
no way
can't
he's
be,
happy with
yeah.
that. There's no way. Like he's got to look at himself as well and say, yo, I got to look at my own career. I got to look what I want to achieve in my career. Like they always say, like this club's lurking, that club's lurking. This one rates Arteta. There's gonna be if we get to the end of the season and we're still on this stupidness, it's gonna be push or come. It's gonna be push or shove. Yo, what are you doing? You staying? You signing this thing, or you gone? And if someone more attractive comes knocking, you can't blame him if he goes.
Yeah, but you make a good point, like about players like Saliba or other players. There'll be offers coming in, and like the thing is, Madrid are a very good team. They've got a great history, Champions League. They're amazing, and as much as Saliba's fitted in really well here, you might think, why not? Why not go and win Champions League with them, win the league there? It's gonna be hard. I mean, it's like Sanchez a few seasons back. I mean, I thought it was fair enough for him to leave because he's at the age where he wants to win stuff, and it obviously didn't go how he wanted it to go. But I think we're at that stage now where it's really tough, and I think with Arteta, like if the season ended and we didn't win anything, I don't know if he would walk personally. I don't think he would. I think he wants to win something like a league before he ever leaves. So I don't think he's going to leave anytime soon. But yeah, it's a very tough position to be in. But I think with like you mentioned before in the players like Nelson as well. I know Nelson's just like a loan, but these were good moves that we did. But it's the fact we've not replaced him that's the biggest problem. And someone mentioned before about Sesko, we were looking at getting him. Like obviously we were trying for striker, but what do you think? Why do you think we didn't look at other players? Because there's so many other strikers out there that we could get. I mean, I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, but I think Tony would help us this season. I did like Isaac, but I know he'd probably be a big fee, and he's respected at Newcastle. But why do you think we didn't? Yeah, why do you think we didn't look more?
How do you do
Um,
it? Is it like that?
yeah, I think
You do it, bro. Trey can do it. I don't
I
know how
love
to do
that.
it, man. Bring me Yokeres, bro. Bring me Yokeres, blood. You know what I mean? That's the real gunman. But for me, like, even the Ivan Toney situation, he done his medical in London for the Saudi club. You could have
Yeah,
hijacked that. You could have got Osherman, you get me, for a free loan, everything free. You ain't got to pay nothing. You ain't got obligation to buy. You turn down that opportunity. You sent scouts to watch Yokeres how many times? You never made that deal go through. You looked at Sesko. He said he wants to stay at Leipzig. What did you do? You didn't pivot to another striker. You pivoted to a left back. These men are backwards. These men are
yeah,
actually backwards. Like when I think of what they're doing, it's actually backwards behavior. And
yeah,
it's the only thing I can think of is that Sesko was the be all and end all. He was the target, and when he said no, it was like, okay, cool. We're not doing nothing else. We're gonna go and reinforce in every other area apart from the area that we fucking really need to reinforce. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And then the Sterling situation, Reece Nelson, Ipswich were looking at him. Obviously, he went to Fulham. One of them clubs are probably called because deadline day was the Friday. So one of them probably called up on Tuesday, Wednesday, and said, "Yo, we're interested in Reece Nelson." Edu's probably said to Reece, "Yo, these two have come in. Like, what do you want to do? Obviously, you're
yeah.
not going to start week in, week out." Reece probably said, "Yo, I want to go, bro. I want to fight for my place. Like these men are saying I can play. Let me go, bro." Then he's probably run to Arteta and said, "Oh, we're gonna lose Reece Nelson as well. What are we gonna do?" Then Arteta saved his Clark. Probably said, "Oh, remember when Chelsea offered us Sterling early in the window? Yeah, can we go back for him?" And then the Sterling deal got done. So
It all happened so fast with Nelson, didn't it? Because like I know a lot of us know that he's not probably on Saka's level, but there is a good player in him, and I think he needed game time himself. But I think that's sort of why we went for Sterling as well, because we don't really have a backup. If Nelson's not here, who would you play if Saka's injured? You've got no options. But I think Sterling could actually be a starter. I think we said we definitely play him. In the game. I would love to see him start, but I don't know if we would. But like when we signed Sterling, like what was your initial thoughts? Because I know a lot of fans were, you know, in the middle about it. I think, as fans, he might not be the player wanted, but you have to give him time and see what you can do. Like you said before, he wants to prove people wrong and prove that, he will be good for us. And he's worked with Arteta as well. So I definitely think he could be a good player.
I mean, he's from where I'm from in Jamaica. We're from the same hometown, so he's got my support no matter what.
Yeah,
You
I
get
love
me?
that. I
No
love
matter
that.
what, he's got my support. But
Yeah.
for me it was the conditions. It was lower your wages, no obligation to buy, and then we can get the deal done. You know what I mean? And all of the above was done. So I was all for it. What I wanted was someone with Sterling because Sterling can cover the right, he can cover the left, but you're still missing that striker. You know what I mean? And with Martinelli playing out of form, he can go straight into the starting 11, but
Mm.
you needed more than Sterling. If this was Sterling 3-4 years ago, then different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're bringing in one of the most feared wingers in Europe at the time. You know what I mean? One of the top wingers in world football. So, you know what I mean? Wrong right signing, wrong time. You know what I
yeah.
mean? That's how I would look at the Sterling signing.
Yeah, it's. I think because he's getting older, he won't be as good as what he used to be. And I think at Chelsea, I think it's like a bit like Havertz. Like Havertz came, Arteta got the best out of him, and you're starting to see that. And it's sort of the same with Sterling. Like I think Arteta likes to bring in players that you can get better. But I sort of like to have players that are good now and that sort of you don't really want to wait for them to get better. You need players that will instantly improve the
Ready made.
team. Yeah, exactly. Like Rice is a good example actually because we've seen him for West Ham for England. We've known what he's about, and he's obviously came in and done better than what I thought. So I think with Sterling. It'll be really interesting, especially if he does start actually. I wanted to actually ask you a bit about Havertz because we all know we need a striker, but do you think Arteta might think Havertz can be our guy that can do that? I mean, Havertz last season. I know he didn't start great, but he's got a lot of confidence and he had a good end to the season. But do you feel like Arteta sees him as like our guy that can be our striker and we kind of don't need a striker? Like, what do you think?
He wanted Sesko, so he doesn't see him as the only the only choice, the only option. So that
Yeah,
that I'll say firstly. He has unlocked Havertz. I think we are seeing a
yeah,
completely different Havertz to Chelsea. I think we are seeing the Leverkusen Havertz. We are seeing a player play with confidence. Um, but for me, he's not going to get you 20-25 league goals in the season, and that's what you need because you're competing with Haaland
yeah,
and you're competing with a player that I said a bit earlier. 9 times out of 10, when he goes through on goal, he's scoring. I mean, you look at the Havertz chance and his hat trick goal against West Ham, which was later in the day. When Haaland went through, I said, "This is a hat trick." I said, "This is it," and boom, the hat trick was made.
yeah,
Havertz, you know what I mean, didn't finish the job, so it'll get you 20 goals in all comps, but it's not enough to win you a league title. You get me? And I think I think Arteta probably thinks he's got a bit more than what he thought he would have got out of Havertz. So I think
yeah,
that's why he wasn't panicking on deadline day to bring in a striker. It was more, can we bring in another winger? Because I think Havertz has also given Arteta confidence.
yeah.
So I don't. I think he trusts. I think he trusts him, but I think he wants more than Havertz.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I think Havertz as well has put in the work as well. I mean, off the ball, I think he works really hard as well. But I think I mean, I suppose because we don't have a striker, you expect this from Havertz as well. But I mean, against Brighton, Saka as well, they could have scored and won us that. It's just those moments that makes those difference because at the end of the season, we might not be looking back at we might not see it like this. We might be thinking it's a good point that we got that helped us win the league, but we also might be thinking that was the game where we should have won. And it's a bit like last season where you drop points where you shouldn't really be against Fulham, the West Ham. So I think it's very tough. But I think this season, I think Havertz is gonna have a good season. I think with the league, I don't think he would score 20 goals in the league. I think he could maybe get 15, but I do think he'll have a good season, but it's so tough ahead of Northern Derby. I'm so nervous about it. What's your score prediction for the game at the weekend? I just don't know. I
2-1
don't know.
Arsenal.
I think we'd all take that. Do you know what's really stressful about those games is you can never relax. Your
Mm-mm.
heart is going to be pounding for that. Do you know what I
I'm
reckon?
watching. I'm watching the game with a Tottenham fan.
Oh Jesus!
Mhm. The wife. Obviously,
Oh yeah, I love that.
obviously we outnumber her, me, Trey, and Carter. But
I love that your
if
kids are
they get the
on your
if they
side.
get the first goal, fucking hell, this watch along's gonna go off, bruv. Because
It,
she will flipping, you'll hear her. "Yeah!" Like she's a little rat, bruv.
I
Like the only,
definitely,
you know
yeah.
what's funny? Yeah, the only time she knows Tottenham is playing, like time day, is when they play Arsenal. Like I was doing a Tottenham watch along for the Newcastle game, and she was like, "Oh, what watch along you doing, babe?" I was like, "Bro, I'm doing your game." She's
And
like,
she didn't know.
"We're playing." I'm like, "Yeah, you're playing." I'm like, what the
Oh
fuck,
my
bro?
god, that's crazy. That
Yeah, it's mad.
that's gonna be so stressful, that game. It's you know what, it's weird, like, when you see, the games coming out at the start of the season, I always look at the Spurs one, and I think that's United actually as well.
Yeah,
United's
Spurs and
very
United, they're the first
it's
two that I looked
yeah,
at.
those are sort of the games that you look at and you think, "Oh, we need to, like, beat them."
Mhm.
Like, if we don't, it just feels amazing, like, when you beat them. It's just something amazing about that as
Yeah,
well. And do you know what, Chelsea is another one as well. Um I think, when I was growing up, it used to be quite big, the rivalry, because they were quite successful, and now they're not
yeah.
so
With
good.
Mourinho, Wenger, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
on.
I enjoyed that. It was I mean, I know we didn't win leagues, but we the games were always, like, good
Yeah,
against them.
the press conference was what it was about. What's
Yeah,
Wenger gonna say? What's Mourinho gonna say when he done the? He is a specialist in failure. I could have knocked out Mourinho because at that point I was still Wenger in. I wasn't Wenger out at that point. So when he was saying that shit, I kind of lost my head.
Do you know what, as well? Like, when I started, I actually started to support Arsenal like around 2015. I had like no idea that Wenger had been here that long, and I didn't have like a proper opinion. But Mourinho, like you said, he used to really wind me up. I
Mhm.
honestly wanted to punch him. Like, it would really irritate me. But Wenger, actually, to be fair, he was always quite good with his words. Like, he would never be nasty. He was quite classy, and I just don't
Mhm.
know how he was like that. I'd, I'd retaliate so
Yeah,
easily.
he was
Yeah.
nothing like me, boy. I would have been kicking off on the
I
touchline. You
know.
call him failure, you dickhead, bro.
There was one game actually where I don't know which player it was, but Diego Costa, I think he like injured someone. I can't remember actually, or he got Rob Holding sent off. But he used to really irritate me, Diego Costa. He was like
He
that
got slightly
player.
sent off as well.
Yeah, it might have been that. There was one of those games, and I just, oh my
We lost
god.
2-0 at Stamford Bridge. It's when
Yeah.
he it weren't Costa, it was Gary Cahill. He stepped on Alexis
Oh, that was.
in front of Wenger on the touchline. I remember because I was at the game in the away end, and I remember we were singing a chant to Costa. It was something about he's ugly. No, it was the Elephant Man. The Elephant Man, Diego Costa, the Elephant Man.
I love. Do you know what? That's mad to think about.
Right, we were ripping him up. Trust me. Oh
I
my
love.
days, so
Oh, that's really. Oh, honestly, yeah. Those times with Chelsea were always like really fun. But do you know, it's weird when you play Chelsea now. Like, you go into it thinking like,
it's not the
I
same.
mean, easy win it should be really.
Mm.
But you just never know with the Premier League. But I do agree with this. Like, we need to get those 3 points. I honestly don't care how we win. I mean, getting clean sheets are nice, but at this moment in time, we need to win this after the Brighton game. And do you know what? If we do win this, I think that would be really good for us, because we all know that we've got a few injured players. Like, do you think if we lost, there would be a lot of excuses? Because for me, I get it, but I also think this team is good enough to beat Spurs.
I think there will be excuses because we're missing two
Yeah.
starting 11 players, two of our best players, Odegaard and Rice. So I think there will be excuses, but if we lose, this could be a bad week, so because we
Yeah.
got we got Atalanta on the Tuesday or the Wednesday. No, it's the Thursday. It's been moved to Thursday, I swear.
Yeah, I think it was
I
moved.
swear they've moved the game. 1 minute, let me.
It was on Tuesday, but then
Yeah, it's
wasn't.
on Thursday now. So it will change to the Thursday. So losing the Tottenham game and then going into that, and then you have Man City on the Sunday with no Odegaard as well. This could be, yeah, it could go left still.
Do you know, with Man City, would you take a point? Are we away at Man City, or
Yeah,
do you
we're
remember?
away.
Yeah, would you?
It's 3 away games we got coming up. in a row.
Would you take a point at Man City? I mean, I know we want to win, but would you take a point?
I take a point. But for me, I think that the situation we're in, we have to go and win there as well.
Yeah,
Because of the Brighton draw, I think that we can't afford to go to City and drop points. I think we have to go there and win.
yeah,
So
definitely.
I don't even think a point would be good enough. I think these next, so take out the Atalanta game because it's Champions League. I think we have to win these next two games in the league. If
Yeah,
we want to carry on this title charge or whatever, then we need to win both of these games.
yeah, definitely. I think realistically, we're more likely to win the Premier League than the Champions League right now. I'm not saying we shouldn't focus on other competitions, but I think with the league, I think if we can get 6 points, then you know what, that puts us in a really good position, and beating Man City, I think I think we'll all get a bit carried away, but I think that'll be the most important thing, winning that. Yeah, fingers crossed we'll get that win at the weekend. I mean, your wife won't be happy, but we'll be happy as Arsenal fans.
Yeah, don't worry about that, man.
Yeah, but I
As
just
long as
want,
we're happy.
yeah, as long as, do you know what, when Arsenal fans are happy online, my timeline on Twitter is absolutely amazing. So
Yeah, my timeline's quiet when Arsenal hands up when Arsenal win.
and do you know what? If we lose, it's like the worst place to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to thank you for coming on today because it's been really good fun to chat about Arsenal. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Nah, no problem, man. Come on, Soph. Anytime the call up the call up comes in, you know I'm there, man.
I'll pick up yourself. But yeah, thank you also to all of you guys that have left us comments, and we've been happy to answer them. It's been really good fun to do that as well. But do you want to just tell people where they can find you online if they're not subscribed to your channel already?
Troop TV is where all the madness goes down. You get me? Where the head
Okay.
losses, yeah, the head losses are far and few. You get me? So
Love
yeah, you
that.
lot pull up, blood. Make sure you subscribe to Gossip TV as well. This is
Pick
the
up
place to be,
yourself.
blood.
Thank you as well for coming on. It's been absolutely amazing. I hope you all have enjoyed this as well. Don't forget to check out Troops' channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you all very soon. Bye, guys.